How's it going, James? OnlineCarShow.net. Well, in this video, we're going to be putting 4 different tire shines up against each other and giving you all a definitive answer on which one's the best. So without hesitation, let's get this video started. All right, just to go over real quickly events we got coming up. There's a car show through Showplace Classics. I'll have a link to them in the description. I'm not sure on their web address. Coming up October 31st, Halloween. It's going to be a Halloween car show. Go check out their website. Be out there. I'll definitely be at that show. And also November 7th, Serious Wheels car show is being put on by Corvette Owners Club of Houston. I've gone to that show 4 or 5 years in a row, and I'll definitely be at it. So now we'll get to the video at hand. You know, which of these 4 tire shines is going to beat the other ones? Well, just to give you all a little heads up before I get into putting them on the tires and stuff, I've got my personal pick, kind of hypothesis of which one will win, and that's the one I use all the time. I received this product out of a Petro box. I've always felt like it was a diamond in the rough, and that's going to be the Limitless Auto Care, or Limitless Car Care Grip Gloss is the name of the product. And like I said, I got it in a Petro box. I've loved it. I've used it at car shows now for over the past year. Love the way it leaves a really good shine on it. So I'm going to see if it actually competes with the other 4 and how it holds up. Well, I'm going to use the Focus for this test just for the fact it sits outside all day. It's my daily driver. It's not near as well kept as the Corvette here. So it's going to be a lot better test vehicle for us. So let's go ahead and get the tires cleaned off and get the tire shine on. All right, well, just to make sure that we do a fair video here and shootout, I'm going to go ahead and clean the wheels and tires with some Adams wheel and tire cleaner just to get a good foundation for the tire shine. Now that it's set with the soap on it, I'm going to go ahead and scrub it.
Two very boring minutes later.
All right, well, that cleaned up the wheels and tires pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and let it dry a couple more minutes before we start putting on the tire shine, just to give them a fair chance. All right, well, how I've set this up is I've got a product each tire, and we've got our one applicator, so I've also got a towel at each tire that we're gonna use to clean off the applicator between tires, so that way there's no cross-contamination between the brands, or at least as little as possible. I did put the 2 that I thought that would perform the best on the front tires, just because they're the ones that are going to get, you know, the most abuse, especially being front wheel drive. We've got on the front driver's side, we've got Limitless Car Care Grip Gloss. On the driver's side rear, we've got Rev Auto Shine. On the passenger rear, we've got our Shot in the Dark, which is a product I've never heard of. It did say it was for tires though. It's Legendary Car Care Gloss Dressing. And then last but not least, on the passenger side front, probably the most abused tire, we've got Adams Tire Shine. So we're gonna see which one looks the best after applying, after an hour, the next day, and then the day following. All right, well, to start off the show, we've got the Limitless Grip Gloss. As I mentioned earlier, this is my personal favorite. I got it in a Petro box, never even heard of this car care company, but love this gloss. It works really good. All right, let's put it on. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 sprays. And we'll follow up with a couple more. 4 more sprays. I think that's a good first coat, or a good initial coat. All right, so we got it on there pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and clean off the sponge. Most of it must have went on the tire. The sponge was actually pretty dry. All right, for the rear back, we've got Uber Shine, or driver's side rear, excuse me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Move on to the passenger side rear. We've got our shot in the dark, the legendary gloss dressing. I've never honestly used this before. We'll see how it does. All right, last but not least, we've got our Adams tire shine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wow, that one actually applied better than any of them. The other ones, I don't know if y'all could tell, but they kind of dripped up a little bit. As far as application goes, Adams has them beat hands down. All right, so we're gonna put 4 more. Yeah, it seems like the Adams wants to bond more with the tire than the others. I'll go ahead and give you a walk around of all of them. Let's see how it looks. And then we'll come back in an hour and see how they spread out. Here's the grip gloss from Limitless Car Care. Looking pretty good. And then we've got Uber Shine from Rev Auto Supply. You can see that, but it does have a little speckling that's happening there. Other than that, looking good. But like I said, it takes an hour for this stuff to really smooth out. So I wouldn't go off this just initial application. Let's wait an hour to judge it. And here's the shot in the dark. Can you remember the name of this? Legendary Auto Care gloss. It's kind of doing the same thing as the Rev Auto, kind of bunching up, not as smooth in the application. See some drips there. Still has some runs. But like I said, it takes an hour for this stuff to really smooth out good. And here's the Adams. Well, we'll come back in an hour, see how it looks. All right, well, it's been just 2 minutes to an hour, so by the time I make the circle, it's probably exactly an hour each tire. The Limitless, of course, this is my favorite, my go-to for car shows. It's honestly shiny as can be, and I usually put on 1 coat the night before and 1 coat at the show. So this is just half as shiny as you can get that stuff. There is one little complaint I have about it. You will find it's a little greasy. Do have to clean your car a little more often. Because of that, if you're not a person that likes that greasiness and all that, you might use something like Adams Polishes VRT. It'll give a slight shine, and it's not all greasy like that. All right, well, let's get to the Uber Shine. And Rev Auto actually used to sponsor me. Had a fallout here recently, but their products honestly have been spot on in the past. As far as shininess, I mean, I can see it there. It is still a little blotchy though. I'm surprised on that. But it is shiny. I don't know if I would rate it quite the same as the other one. Maybe after multiple coats it would be. Get rid of the splotchiness. And let's go for the shot in the dark, the legendary Car Care now on the back passenger side. And it is, I would say, as far as shininess goes, this one actually may be shinier than the Limitless, but it is super splotchy. So you definitely need a second coat on this one just to get, I think, the smoothness of it. But that actually may be shinier than the Limitless. I think so. It's not quite as greasy either. The Rev Auto wasn't quite as greasy. That is the downside of the Limitless, is it was the greasiest of all of them. And the Adams may be the least greasy, probably. Yeah, it's still pretty greasy. I would say it's about the same as the last two. We're on the Adams tire now, of course. And just as I expected, it's not quite as shiny, but it's got the smoothest, I would say, you know, there's no splotchiness going on. It's smoothed out really nice. It's not quite as shiny, I would say, as the Legendary or the Limitless. But as far as smoothness goes, I guess in quality of how it smoothed out, I would say the Adams. At least after this 1 hour initial look. But honestly, guys, I'm still stuck on my Limitless. I mean, this came in a Petra box and it's just been a diamond in the, you know, diamond in the rough. It's still pretty damn smooth when I come back and look at it, though. So I don't know. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. But as far as the 1 hour test, is smoothness of coat, I would say it's somewhere between Adams and Limitless. And as far as quality of shine, I would say it's either the Limitless grip gloss or the Legendary back there was really shiny. I'm gonna go park this in the street, let the Texas sun hit it for a day and drive it around and so forth, and let's come back and see what it looks like then. All right, well, let's see what it looks like after 1 day. Take my glasses off here. Here's the front. I think this was Limitless, still shiny. It is still greasy though, and that is stuff you're gonna have to re-clean off the tire your next car wash. That is the downside of this. I do still see the tire shine on there. It has lost some of its shine though, so it is already fading. Let's take the next one. This was Rev Auto Uber Shine. It's actually smoothed out now. It's not as blotchy, which is really nice, but it has faded. But it actually did smooth out, so that's a plus for the Uber Shine. Let's see the Legendary Auto. This was the shot in the dark one. It's actually smoothed out too. Very interesting. So the water-based ones, you really have to do them a day before or something to get them to smooth out, because they were blotchy. Both these back two, if you don't remember, were blotchy after the first hour, hour and a half for sure. But the next day, they do seem to have smoothed out pretty nice. This one is shinier than the Rev Auto, but it is a gloss dressing. This one, I will say, I am noticing little spots where it is splashed against the wheel more than the other dressing. That's kind of interesting about that one. Now let's get to the Adams. Actually, it's kept shiny pretty good. You can see it has faded a little bit right there, but that may just be a tire rub, because I don't see it anywhere else. As far as greasiness, it's not actually that greasy at all. There is like a little layer on there. It's interesting. I've learned a lot actually from doing that. These are all so different. I'm not sure yet which one I like. I'm gonna leave it for the last day to see what the results are tomorrow. All right, well, let's go over the results here. I'm actually surprised. I thought, just to go over my hypothesis before I give you all a look, I thought the Limitless was gonna be number one. Then I thought it was gonna be probably the Adams for number two. And then number three, I was expecting the Rev Auto. Number four, the Legendary, which was the shot in the dark, which is just gloss dressing. But let's go over the results here, because they're totally different than I thought they were going to be. Here is Limitless, which was my pick for number one, right? it's still there. Actually, all 4 of them are decently there. And it's probably, as far as stain on the tire, it's the one that was the best. But there's a huge downside of that. It is super freaking greasy. I mean, just barely rub my finger on it. Look, super greasy, and it's collected. It's shiny, but it's also really grainy because it's collected all of that dust particles and all that is stuck to it. And also, even though there's a good 12 hours that went by before I drove the car, you can see where it splattered here on the paint and up here a little bit. I don't see any, oh, there's kind of little bit of splotchy parts there where it splattered against the wheel. There were worse than this one, but honestly, I would say this one performed the worst out of all of them. The one I was expecting to be on top, I'm gonna give it bottom score. Let's go on to the Rev Auto, which is the back driver's side. As you can see, this one, I think this one probably faded the worst out of all of them. I do think it's a water-based. I don't know if it's watered down or anything, but it did seem to fade the worst out of all of them. It is a little splotchy here and there. Like right there, you can see some splotchiness. But it is still there, and I'll give it one big thing over the front one, the Limitless, is the fact that it's not that dirty. This one actually, for cleanliness, is probably number 1 or number 2 as far as, you know, not being a lot of dirt on it. But it's very splotchy, and it's just not very smooth on there. So I'm gonna give the Rev Auto in this, I'm gonna probably give it a number 3 for ranking. So we've got 4, 3. All right, let's go on to the next one. This is the legendary gloss dressing, and as far as shininess, I would say it's surpassed the Rev Auto. Where I think this one failed was in how the fact it's everywhere. This is a gloss dressing, and this was kind of expected because it's not an actual tire shine. This is built for a multitude of products, not just tires. Whereas all the rest of them have been built specifically for tires. So you do have to give this a little consideration before we judge it on the same scale. It is just a gloss dressing. Now, with that being said, it went everywhere. It's here, it's on the back, it's all over. I mean, you can see it definitely on the wheel where it's splotched, or it's splotchy or blotchy, whatever you want to call it. But it is still there. There isn't a whole lot of fading I see compared to the Rev Auto. It's definitely held up better than the Rev Auto. And as far as cleanliness, I would say it's middle of the road. It is a little greasy, and there is a little bit of dirt on it, but it's not near as bad as the Limitless. All right, so we're gonna give this a number 2 ranking. And as y'all know, that means Adams won the show. And I'm sorry about the AC behind me. I'm right in front of an AC here. But for as far as the Adams product, it's probably one of the cleanest ones out of all of them. There's hardly much grease on it. There is some splatter, which, as y'all can tell, every single one of them had splatter. But I don't see, there's like one drip there on the wheel that I see splattered. Other than that, I don't see any other splatter on the wheel. So it's not so bad as some of them. It is definitely on there. It's definitely still shiny. And the other thing I like is it's where it's shiny, you know, it's shiny throughout. There isn't one area that's shinier than another. It didn't fade in one area. It still seems like it's smooth and consistent across the entire tire, which I think is important as it fades. So I don't know, guys. I think the Adams definitely won the show. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, and if you've got a favorite that I should try in the future. Thank you for watching. Well, before I, tell y'all what you already know, which is who probably is the definitive winner of this. Every single one of these manufacturers makes really good products, and each one of them, as you can see, held up pretty consistent with the other ones. But I did feel that Adams just, edged past them a little bit, just in smoothness, how long it lasted, and the least, one of the least amount of dirt buildup over time. So that, in my eyes, puts them as the overall winner. As I mentioned in the beginning, it's not who I saw winning the shootout. I thought Limitless was going to win. They were my diamond in the rough, but as I'm finding out, there are some downsides, some big downsides to using, one that's really greasy and stuff like that. So I learned a lot from this. I'll probably switch to using Adam's Tire Shine in the future at car shows and go from there. But thank y'all so much for watching my videos. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and hit that like and subscribe below. And I hope everybody has a great week. Thank you.